Solve This Murder. I'm your detective, Bill.
And I'm your crime scene criminal and witnesses, Dani. We're on part 8 of 5 Little Pigs.
In part 7, I talked to Meredith Blake, and I finally saw the unfinished painting of Elsa Greer, and it was magnificent.
Meredith recounted the tour of his laboratory, as well as his discovery that some poison had been stolen from him the morning of the murder.
And I crafted a theory that Angela may have accidentally poisoned Amias. Okay, maybe I'll talk to Philip later, but I'm going to start. I believe that Angela, in an attempt to prank Amias, took what she thought was perfume and put it in a beer, but it weren't no perfume, it were poison. And I want to talk to Angela. I want to find out what she remembers. I want to see if I can spark a memory by going, but, before I leave the garden, can I take some jasmine from the tree to create a scent memory?
Sure, let's do it.
Scent memory. Okay.
It does indeed feature in the book.
It does?
Yep.
Oh, scent memory. I'm so good. I'm so keyed into this world. Oh, okay. I pluck from the vine.
Yep.
Some
Probably
jasmine.
grows on vines.
I pluck some jasmine flowers and I grab them and I travel, carefully cradling my handful of jasmine on the train back to London. And I go to Angela.
Mm-hmm.
I presumably
You're
I can
lucky enough
visit
to find
now.
her.
I knock on her door
She answers it herself.
and I say,
It's a nice little flat.
I hold my hands up and I say, "You're a girl, 15 years old.
Oh, this is terrifying.
Listen, you're a girl, 15 years old. Think back, remember, close your eyes. Your sister's dresser, your sister's perfume.
What?
Think back, a pipette of perfume poisoning the perilously placed beer that Amias was to drink. Think back to the perfume in your sister's room and smell these flowers." Does it work?
Did Carolyn wear perfume?
Come on, I brought the flowers.
Sorry, I've never paid much attention to that sort of thing. She might have, I suppose, perfume in her room. I suppose that would be where perfume would be. I never went into her room.
You don't remember going into a room and getting any perfume out of it?
Absolutely not. I would never take
For the
something from
purpose
her
of
room.
pranking?
Absolutely
A
not.
pranking perfume. You don't remember this?
No, but...
But? Oh, you remember something.
Yes.
Smell the flowers. Smell the flowers.
Yes, I mean, this isn't helping. I
threw
don't
the
think
flowers in her
I don't
face.
think it was flower season back then.
But she had the jasmine perfume.
No, I remembered what was happening. I was around that age. I don't know if it was the same day or not, but I remembered being alone in Meredith's lab, as I said, and I was stealing something from a box that was kept right by the
What's it, catnip?
windowsill. That's exactly
I
what
should
it
have
was!
brought the catnip. Why would you want catnip?
Because apparently it tastes disgusting.
Okay. All right. Hold on. My original idea was correct. You stole catnip.
Yes.
You put it into his beer.
No.
What?
I was going to put it in his
And
beer.
you were stopped.
I got caught.
By Cecilia?
Yes, and Carolyn was also there. It was both of them, really. But then I got chastised by Cecilia for it. Did this all happen at the same time?
Yeah. It was the same time.
I had no idea.
I really hoped this would work. But I know that someone will remember the smell of jasmine. Danny let it slip. So I'm going to keep that jasmine for Philip, who'll remember the affair.
It was Meredith didn't really remember as much about the tour as he thought.
But this jasmine helped.
Yeah.
That's why he remembered the tour. Okay, I put the jasmine away. I'd leave it here. You can have it. Have some jasmine.
Thanks, I guess.
I drop it on the floor.
It's kind of nice.
I really thought you'd remember some perfume, Angela.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. People didn't just go into Carolyn's room.
Did anybody go into Carolyn's room?
I mean, I
Did
didn't.
anybody have access?
Well, everyone would have had access, I suppose. It just didn't happen.
Did anybody have moral access? You know, like it wouldn't have been weird for them to go in. Obviously, Amias could have.
Yes, I suppose so. That would be about
But
it.
Cecilia could be able to go into a room.
Oh, no,
she wasn't
certainly not.
She wasn't like a cleaner or anything.
Absolutely
was she? She was a
not.
governess.
That would have been
She wasn't
very
a general
strange to me.
servant. She was a
Exactly. People would
governess.
have noticed. No, she was after me all day.
Danny, my theories are falling apart. I thought this was going to be an easy an easy alley-oop setup to slam this mystery into the net that is this podcast.
Well, this is a great load off my back, at least. It feels like I didn't do this, and I haven't just blotted it from my memory. That's a relief.
I thought you did it. I think maybe you didn't. But it doesn't make my job any easier, Angela.
I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. That's good. You're great. Don't worry about it. Believe in yourself. I suppose I have to go talk to Philip.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have anything else to talk to Angela about? I'm glad I mentioned this. Was there something else you were trying to remember for me?
No, I think that was about it.
All right. Well, thanks.
No problem.
I thought I was on a victory lap, but I was just on a lap. Just a nice little lap.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Angela, I'm glad you're an adventurer. Have a good life. I'll never see you again.
Oh, please tell me what happens and what you find out.
Oh, okay. I'll see you one more time.
Yeah,
I'll see you at the
appreciate
denouement.
it. Thank you.
I'll bring all
That's
my
all I
piggies
ask.
together. All right. Let's go talk to Philip.
All right, back to Philip.
Back to Philip.
He didn't win golf today, so he's not in quite as good a mood.
I'm
as
not
last
even
time.
keeping notes anymore.
Oh, okay.
I don't need any notes.
Great.
Because whatever I discover now, I don't need to remember. I'm going to solve the mystery.
Let's do it.
Hands off the notebook. Philip,
Yes.
smell this jasmine.
All right.
Does it bring to mind any sort of illicit affair you may have been having?
Excuse me. It reminds me of the house I grew up in.
Oh, you grew up in Jasmine House? Yeah, that's right. I was just there.
What are you talking about? What illicit affair?
You were seen 16 years ago.
Please keep talking.
Wait, you weren't seen. Carolyn was seen leaving your room with a guilty expression.
Oh,
Were you having an affair with Carolyn?
how dare you, sir?
I ask again.
How dare
I
you?
dare as much as I wish. You answer my question.
I ought to golf club you.
Well, you can't. I've got a golf shield.
This is so unnecessary. It's
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just investigating a murder.
all right. This might come as a shock to you.
I'm ready. I'm ready to be shocked.
Once upon a time, I was in love with Carolyn.
Yeah, I know, man.
She rejected me quite firmly, quite quickly. I was
With a golf club.
I was a nobody, and look, I hated her for that, but these feelings don't just go away, you know? And after Elsa arrived on the scene, well, a part of me was almost happy. I thought if Amias was going to run off with her, I took Carolyn aside. I told her that I loved her.
Ooh, spicy. And she said?
I know.
In a nice way? Like a Han Solo kind of like tongue-in-cheek? Kind of like
There was nothing nice about it.
Damn.
But,
Sorry, man.
but after such things happened, it may have been the night after that tempestuous lunch. This might be why my diary keeping is vague. She came to my room, and she said she would never have an affair. She was a one-man woman, and she immediately left. It was a taunt, it felt like. And then for what happened the next day to happen, it was infuriating. It was a slap in the face after slap in the face. You're still on the train of not believing that she did this, aren't you?
She didn't do it. I know she didn't do it.
I heard her that morning of the murder in the library. You know that, don't you?
You heard her? Do I have
I
what
heard
you
her
heard?
and Amias arguing in the library.
Yes. And let me check my little notebook. What did they say in the library? I don't know if I have these in my notes.
I didn't want to pry, but I most certainly heard Carolyn say that she would like to kill Amias one of these days over him and his women. And then, she left the room. She went upstairs before I could completely get away, and I heard her mutter under her breath about how cruel he was, and he was being too cruel.
Oh, I do remember that.
And then I got the phone call about the quinine. I had talked to Elsa for a few minutes at some point in there. I don't remember the exact order. Elsa went to get a jacket, something of that nature.
There's a
It's
lot
all
of talk
blur.
about this jacket. But Elsa didn't do it. That's crazy. Philip, what do you think of Cecilia?
Who?
Yeah, I thought you might say that. In your diary, do you ever mention the governess?
Oh, she was the one who handled things afterwards. She All I really recall of her was that she took charge of the situation. She prevented a fight from occurring after. She seemed to have a head on her shoulders.
Oh, it's tantalizingly close. What am I missing? What is this last piece? How do my threads tie together? I need information. Philip, I'm going to go back to when I liked you, which is now. I like you, Philip. You have notes, you have words, you have specifics.
Yes,
is there anything else in your diaries that can help me?
Look, I'll tell you what they say. Like I said, you've now reminded me of why they're more sparse than a typical day. But let's find out. It's day of the murder.
Give me the timeline, Phil.
Found the governess. She is in here. I found her searching for Angela. Then I heard Amyas and Carolyn arguing in the library. Didn't want to pry. Went to the terrace. Met and chatted with Elsa. 5 minutes later, Amyas...
You know what you chatted with Elsa about?
I think I chastised her, perhaps.
That sounds like you.
5 minutes later, Amyas exited, told Elsa to come sit for a painting. She went inside for a moment to get a jacket, then came back out. And then they went down for the painting. Then I went back inside. Telephone rang. Meredith calling about the missing hemlock. I told him to come over. I met him halfway. We saw... Let's see, while we were discussing the conine, we saw Carolyn and Amyas arguing, saying that Amyas would say good riddance, get rid of her, and it would be better. And then Elsa was there. Interesting. I have a note that Amyas already seemed drunk.
Already seemed drunk?
And then he complained about the beer down here being too hot and all of that. And Carolyn said she'd get him some. We went up to the house. Beers happened.
Wait a second. If he was already drinking, could the poison have been in an earlier beer that ended up, and so then it looked like the poison was in his glass because it wasn't in the beer that he'd just drunk, but he'd been pre-poisoned? So like they'd already had a poison drink in his glass beforehand, and that was him drinking the poison? An earlier poisoning? And the timeline has to just be moved back? The only person who has the exact timeline for how long it took him to be poisoned was Elsa. Yeah, was he poisoned earlier? If he was already a little drunk, he was drinking already. And then he said, get me a new beer, these ones are bad.
Mm-hmm.
Did he say warm or did he say bad?
He said
they taste bad, right?
Warm and foul tasting.
Foul tasting? Okay, someone's already caught this and emailed me, but too bad, I'm in the past and you're in the future. He had already drunk the beer. He said they were foul tasting. The beer he'd had before anybody else, before Carolyn even brought the beer, he had been poisoned. Elsa went and got her jacket. She was like, I better go and get something from inside. Did Elsa get the poison then? And then came out with a pocket because she didn't have pockets. She had shorts and a silk top. She had to go get a jacket so she could hide a piece of glass in there. Who was there earlier? Who was in the battery park early that day? He was painting. He went down to paint Elsa. You and Meredith had a conversation with him?
At some point in there, yes, but...
This was before Carolyn brought drinks?
This was before that. This was when Amyas and Carolyn were in the Battery Garden arguing.
What does this mean for me? The timeline has shifted. It's earlier. He was already poisoned by an outdoor beer. A warm outside beer.
Do you think that you are feeling like this could lead to a...
Oh, God, I don't, let's fumble, I guess.
It's terrifying, isn't it?
Oh, no, I hate it. I don't know the solution. Okay, I say, Philip, thank you so much. I now know everything I need to know. Probably, maybe you can fill me in as we go. I retreat to... You know what? Let's go to the Battery Garden. Let's go to where it all happened.
You might not be able to. It's no longer owned by them.
Ah, damn. All right, let's go to my house.
Okay.
I call each individual pig. Pring, pring, pring. Hello, pig number one.
Who was?
This little piggy went to market. Philip.
Great.
Philip Blake.
Oh, you again.
The market pig. I'd like to invite you to my home for truth-telling.
I don't like your manner, but yes.
I don't have a manner. I'm poor.
I knew it. Yes, all right.
Come, I'll see you
Yes,
soon.
okay.
Ching, ching. Bring. This little piggy stayed home. Meredith Blake.
Yes.
Pig.
Yes.
I'd like to invite you to my manor for truth-telling.
That sounds quite apt. Yes. Okay.
See you
Understood.
soon.
Not
Bring.
too soon.
Bring. This little piggy had roast beef. Elsa, my little beef piggy. I'd like you to come to my home for truth-telling.
Right. What suburb is it in?
Bletchley Park. I'm cracking
Never
codes
been
and
there.
cases.
That's a.
Didn't you say you were a code breaker in the war?
No.
Oh, that was Angela.
That was Carla.
Oh, it was Carla.
In Canada.
In Canada? No, someone said there was a,
That was
code
Canada.
breaker.
Canada Carla.
Come to my
It
home
was
for truth-telling.
I don't know what year this was. I don't know what war it was.
Okay. Come to my home for truth-telling.
Yes, all right. I don't remember her voice either. This is so hard.
This little piggy had none. Bring. Cecilia.
Yes.
My nothing
Yes.
pig.
Oh,
My
Goodness.
poor little piggy. Come to my home for truth-telling.
right.
And then finally, wee. I call Angela.
Hello. You have something. You've learned something. Great. What
I
is
know everything. It might seem like I'm stumbling through it when I present it and I'm making it up as I go, but I've got all of the facts. Come to my home for the truth.
Brilliant. That sounds fantastic. I'll be there in a
Jiff?
jiff.
Wonderful.
We're on the same page already.
See you soon, Angela. All right. I don't know the truth that I'm going to tell, but let's tell it.
All right. 3 of the pigs arrived perfectly on time.
Oh, bloody Meredith.
In Meredith, one's is in about 15 minutes late or so.
And who else is late?
Oh, Elsa.
Oh, is she turning up at all?
Yeah, she's definitely turning up.
Okay.
Just extremely fashionably late.
All right. I say,
The others are not particularly happy to see her.
hello, everybody. It's me, Bill. I started with an accent, but I lost it. Welcome to my home. Please, take a seat. I've been investigating the murder of Amias Crail. You may have heard of him. He was all of your friends. Amias died 16 years ago. And according to the courts and public opinion, his killer saw justice. She was put in prison. Put away for a year before she died.
She didn't hang, though.
Didn't hang.
She's supposed to hang.
Get over it. Philip. Did I get that
Elsa.
right? Elsa. Get over it, Elsa. Oh, she didn't hang. Calm down. She didn't deserve to hang. Because if there's one thing that I know for sure from my investigation, it's that Caroline didn't kill Amias Crail. Thank you, little squid. I brought a squid here for dramatic effect. An old trick I learned from my master. You see, when Carolyn found the body, Cecilia was drawn by the sound of a scream. She went off to get a doctor, and at that point, Carolyn thought that she was alone with the body. But of course, she wasn't alone for long. Cecilia, you returned, you doubled back, and what did you see?
Yes, I have to tell everybody.
Yeah, tell everybody.
So I delegated the task to Mr. Meredith Blake over here, and I returned and I saw Carolyn wiping down the beer bottle and then putting Amias's fingerprints on it herself.
A very damning act. If the beer bottle had contained poison. But as we know from our boffins in the lab 16 years ago, they're all retired now, that bottle had no poison in it.
They did say that. That was peculiar. You're right.
That was my walrus. Carolyn was trying to protect someone, and she assumed the poison had been delivered via beer bottle. And so, in an attempt to cover up whoever did the killing, she wiped the fingerprints and tried to put Amias's prints on the bottle to make it look like a suicide. However, the poison was in the glass, and that act solidified and proved Carolyn's innocence. She did not know where the poison was, so she could not have been the one who supplied the poison. Why did she think the poison was in the beer bottle? And who did she think had committed the crime? Why? Based on that sad, sad letter from many years ago. Angela, your sister believed that you had poisoned Amias Crail.
But I didn't.
But you didn't. You were a prankster, precocious, prone to pieces of panicked petulance, but not
Okay.
a perjurer.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Angela never killed Amias, but she was seen fumbling with his beer bottles.
Bottles. Yes, the
An
bottles.
attempt.
I should have realized that it couldn't have been me because it was the bottles. Of course.
An attempt to put catnip in his bottle as a prank. The prank that you decided you would pull to punish Amias for sending you to boarding school. You were caught by Cecilia and by Carolyn, who, at that point, when the poison was given to Amias, assumed that that's what you must have put in the bottle, that you must have been successful rather than stopped, which you were. You were not successful. No catnip in the bottles. And she tried to protect you. And in doing so, she went to prison happily, put up no defense, was a terrible witness at court because she couldn't say what she believed to be the truth, that her sister had poisoned Amias Crail.
She thought that, after what she did to me when I was a baby, that this was her way of making up for it.
She'd always been punishing herself for what she did to you. Which, is a pretty bad thing to do. But of course, if Carolyn didn't do it, and Angela didn't do it, who did it? How was there poison given to Amias Crail? Now, the bottle that Carolyn brought was a poisonless bottle. The only poison that was found was in the glass, but it wasn't placed in the glass specifically. It was in an earlier bottle. On the day of his murder, Philip Blake, you maintain that he was already a little bit drunk.
Yes, I did say that.
He had been drinking, and everybody knows that he had complained about the beers that had been left in his little outdoor beer hutch.
Well, they were warm.
Were they warm? Or were they warm and foul tasting? They had tasted foul not because of the warmth, but because of the poison placed perniciously into the... I need a word for vessel that starts with P, but I don't have one. Someone had poisoned that beer. Now that I think about it, maybe it wasn't in the bottle, but either way, the poison was already drunk by him. It was either in the glass, in the bottle. Someone had poisoned him beforehand, before Carolyn even brought that bottle out. He had drunk a poisoned beer. Poisoned in his bottle, poisoned in the glass. Either way, poison had been ingested. And so we get to an earlier time frame. And we have to ask ourselves not who poisoned him or who put the poison in the drink that Carolyn brought, but who poisoned him earlier that day. The poison in question was disguised as perfume in Carolyn's bedroom. On a previous tour to Meredith's laboratory, the hemlock was shown off in front of everybody. And incredibly...
Not me, said Cecilia.
Not you, Cecilia, but something about you. Something about you, Cecilia. I'm not letting you off the hook yet.
Typical man.
So the question is, who poisoned Amias? It wasn't Carolyn, it wasn't Angela. It's someone who had access to the poison. Now, the poison itself had been removed from Meredith's poison hutch, from his little laboratory, where he had a jar of conine. The jar wasn't stolen, it was siphoned away by a small glass pipette.
Oh, but Carolyn admitted that.
She admitted to taking the poison.
Yes.
Though it may well be she admitted that to cover for you as part of her whole general covering for Angela.
Her fingerprint... No. Her fingerprints were found on the bottle in my lab.
That is true. Carolyn may well have taken the poison. Some people believe that Carolyn may have been wanting to... She herself said she was going to commit suicide. She seemed to have the air of someone who may well have decided to take her own life. But that's not what happened. Amias died of poisoning instead. So someone had to have gotten the poison out of Carolyn's perfume and given it to Amaya. I don't imagine, with Angela out of the picture, that anyone else did it as a jaunty little prank to make a foul-tasting jasmine beer.
Well, no, who would even have known that?
Who would have known? Who would have known where the poison was? On the day, you all saw the poison, and it may well be that many of you saw that Carolyn was the last one to leave, but would you have known that she'd placed it in her perfume?
All you get is staunch head shakes, looks of denial and confusion at that.
Yes. All right. This is where the denouement fumbles.
Well, we've talked about access to the poison, but what about access to the glass? Surely that's as important. Who's been in the garden? What happened that morning?
What did happen that morning? Before the drink was delivered, in the what I'm going to call the poison period, in which he had been poisoned before this, we know that he was painting Elsa.
Mm-hmm.
He and Elsa were both down in the Battery Garden. In fact, at one point, Elsa had made a specific trip to go and get a coat. A coat may have had pockets in it.
Wait. This is Philip. Does that match up with what my diary said when we were reading through it?
You said that she got it before leaving to go to the park.
Yes.
She was already inside. She said, give me a second to grab a jacket.
Yes. That's exactly
That's
what
what
it
your
said.
diary said.
You're
What
right.
did Elsa say? Did she say that she left to go and get the jacket, or that she...
Yes. She and when she was gone from the Battery Garden when Amias and Carolyn were arguing, and she came back with a jacket.
But she must have been there during the argument then. If she'd left with the jacket, she wouldn't have had to leave.
That is weird. Everyone just goes, a lapse in our memories? Something isn't quite right about that, I suppose. Maybe it's a mistake.
Elsa, do you have anything to say for yourself?
I don't recall the first occasion. I do recall I left the garden to get a jacket. When I returned, there were the Blakes, there was Carolyn. She mentioned that she was going to bring him a beer.
Oh, what does this mean? This is okay, I found a contradiction. I found a discrepancy. Elsa says that on the day they were doing the painting, she left to get a jacket. When she came back, Amias and Carolyn had been arguing. And that she was not there for that period of time.
Yes. The Blakes corroborated this. They said that it sounded like they'd been arguing about Angela because they heard them say that Amias was going to send her packing.
But Amias wasn't talking about Angela. Amias was talking about Elsa. That's who he was going to send packing. Elsa, Amias was never going to marry you.
Excuse me?
He told you not to trust him. Angela, you had heard Amias saying the whole wedding was a joke.
Yes. He was a bit flustered and that's what he said. And then I said that to Elsa. And she clearly didn't take that seriously. She clearly thought it was real. Everyone thought it was real.
Okay. But he wasn't going to marry her. This is why Carolyn wasn't worried. Was Carolyn's whole getting the poison and suicide thing like a threat, like I'll do it, and Amias went, oh, okay, fine. An ultimatum, perhaps? If Amias was talking about Elsa when he said, don't worry, I'll send her packing, he had decided, I'm not going to marry her. She's not going to stay here. It's the fantasies of a young girl. I just need to get the painting finished. He just wanted the painting done. He knew he was in the last stage. All of this, the talking, he told you not to believe him. He's in the throes of passion while he paints. But when the painting's done, the paintee goes. He goes back to Carolyn. It's how it's always been. People kept saying this was different, but that's just because he died. It's not because it was different. It was the same as it always was. He was going to finish the painting and he was going to get bored of you. He came back to you because he needed to get the work done, not because he needed to see you. He needed you until he was done. And Elsa discovered this? Did she overhear it? She hadn't gone back to the house. She didn't need to go back to the house. She already had her jacket. Philip, in your diary, you mentioned you and Elsa were were in the house where she said...
No, she was on the terrace.
She was on the terrace.
Yes, I was in the house.
And you had overheard something in the library, a fight in the
Yes,
library.
a very, very brief fragment
What
of fight.
fight did you hear?
That
was the send her packing?
No, that was separate. That was Amias and Carolyn. Carolyn saying, "Oh, one day I'll kill you over your women," and then she came out talking about how cruel he was, and that it was too cruel.
It was too cruel.
And then I left. I went down. I went downstairs. I only was clearly catching the very tail end of this fight, and then I went down and chatted with Elsa. And Elsa says, "Yes, I heard the exact same fight. I heard the whole thing."
It was too cruel. But not to Carolyn. Was he being too cruel to you? For stringing you along? For letting you believe there was a relationship that was never going to happen? Was that the cruelty? He wasn't being too cruel to Carolyn. Carolyn knew him. Carolyn and Amias, she knew what was happening. I mean, this is who they were. These huge moments, these huge fights, the expression of violence without actually being violent. The idea of suicide as an ultimatum to bring him back to his senses, to then have him say, "I'll string her along, I'll finish the painting," for her to say that's too cruel, and for Elsa, who denied being in the house because she doesn't want me to know she overheard it, heard the argument. She heard the details that he was being too cruel to Elsa, stringing her along. And she decided to kill him? For the affront? This is the poison in her soul that he was so excited to paint? That she was going to kill Amias for lying to her? For having him, for falling in love with him? And for it to be fake, to be nothing? She decided at that point, "I'm going to kill you"? Did she hear about the Did she hear in that moment about the perfume poison?
No, I didn't.
Says the squid. How did you know where the poison was?
I saw it. I saw her take it. I was talking with Meredith.
Of course you were there when, as I said, people saw that she was the last one out. You were there when she left.
I saw the whole thing. I was looking directly into the laboratory. She didn't even notice.
So you knew she had the poison. Were you trying to kill Amias, or were you just trying to frame Carolyn?
Why not both? They were both responsible for destroying my life.
Oh, you were 19! Get over it!
You have no idea how strongly we felt for each other. I know that he felt it too. But to hear him say... I don't need to bring it all back again.
But you do, Elsa, because you killed Amias. You poisoned him. You went down to the Battery Garden before anyone else. Poison in your pocket. You took a moment. Amias was ready to go down to the Battery Park to paint you, and you said, "Oh, just give me a second, Amias. I've got to go grab a jacket." But you didn't just grab a jacket. You went to Carolyn's room. You took the poison you knew that she had been keeping in a perfume bottle. You took the poison in a little glass dropper. All women, if you're a woman, raise your hand. Do you have a little glass dropper for perfume and writing implements?
It was the kind for taking ink into a fountain pen.
Either way, women be dropping. You took your poison dropper and you went down, you hid it in the pocket of your jacket, and when the time was right, when he looked away, when he was so focused on the art that he was making, you dropped the drips dripping into the drinking vessel. That starts with D. And you poisoned Amias. You had heard about how painful, how terrible, how monstrous it was, and you wanted him to feel that pain, just like Socrates did. And instead of you being exiled like Socrates could have been, you chose poison over exile, but not for yourself, for Amias. There's something there, and you killed him.
You know what else there is there?
Hmm?
Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo and Juliet. You're no Juliet. You're Tybalt. You're Mercutio. I don't know, you're someone who isn't one of them.
The whole point of Romeo and Juliet is what youth will do that rational adults won't.
She was too young.
And how certain they can be in their love being different from everything else and being a force more powerful than everything else going on around them. Elsa believed so strongly, so certainly. As Meredith said, there was something still a bit naive about her, even if no one else saw it, even if she insisted she knew what she was doing. And no one should ever underestimate what young people will do when they see things in black and white.
And she did it. Take her away, boys. 18 police officers jump out.
Please, I have enough money to buy all of you, but well, if something does come of it, I have to go to court again. Maybe I'll actually feel something again.
Elsa.
You think that day I had any idea how much that along with killing him, I'd be killing myself?
Yeah, you screwed up, Elsa. You should have just moved on with your life. You could have had a great life. And yeah, screwed it up for everybody. You screwed it up for yourself. You screwed it up for Carolyn. You screwed it up for Carla. You screwed it up for Amias because he's dead. And that's why kids shouldn't play with poison.
Well done.
All right.
Thank you for listening to Solve This Murder. To support the show, you can sign up for our Patreon and receive weekly bonus episodes, monthly videos, and full access to all parts of new Solve This Murder mysteries on day one. Thanks to all our patrons for supporting us, thanks to Advanced Sagebrush and Shootouts for our theme music, and thanks again to all of you for listening.